And hello, good people of the internet. This is Tommy Kelly, and this is, of course, the Tommy Kelly podcast. And in this episode, it should be all going to plan, will be slightly longer than the normal 20 minutes or so, because I have a few extra things. I have two sections in it. One where I talk about how crap of a day I had, and another where I talk about my that whole section on the blog I used to do last year, the weight loss for the soul, and why I stopped that, and just a little that's going on with me with that at the minute. Just an update on that. I also want to talk a bit about a few things that are that I'm planning on doing in the future. I put up a post on the Facebooks where I asked would people be interested in like a film club or a TV club where like the book club only we do it for films and TV, and there was good positive response to that. And I was thinking about the weekend, and I think the best thing to do and the thing that I would find most enjoyable is to do the book club, to announce the films and all that kind of thing, and I'll just do like a commentary to it as my sort of, rather than a preamble about it or whatever, because it means I get to sit and watch the film or the TV show and just talk about it, and you get to hear what it would be like if you're sitting and watching with me, which in fairness, if you were sitting and watching a film with me, I wouldn't be talking at all, because I don't like when people talk during TV shows or films, but like a director's commentary kind of thing, and it might be fun, mightn't be fun, but we'll see. The first film I'm going to do is The Ninth Gate, and so it's the next couple of weeks I will put that up, and then you can add whatever you want to that discussion. I'll probably do it as a separate podcast thing, and I'll have it lined up so that you can press play on the podcast and the film at the same time, and I should sync up in some sort of way. All going to plan. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I won't be able to talk enough over a film to make it anyway interesting, but it's something I will try. Other things that are coming up is there's going to be an A3 print of The Witch, which you will hear a bit more about when I talk about how bad my day was. It's been sent to the printers, and we'll be collecting it later this week. Then it'll be all signed. I'll do a whole video about that, and they'll be up on sale soon. I'm also doing a limited edition run of the 4 Devils Altar cards, and there's just going to be 10 sets of them for this one. So it's just, as you'll find, there's a lot of effort and stuff involved in that, and so it's just. But people are always on to me about doing the altar cards for them, and they're not up in store the whole time, and there's a million reasons for that. But I thought I would just offer them up as like 10 sets, and then, come back to them maybe later in the year and do some more. So anyway, that's all the things that I think is coming up. So let's get into the day from hell. Last week in the podcast, I was talking a bit about personifying my demons, and this idea of this demon who's always, pushing your buttons and trying to annoy you, and, for some sadistic pleasure or whatever it was. And once I turned him into a servitor and a sigil and did an image and all that kind of thing. And for a couple of days, everything just seemed okay, and it became in really good form. I didn't feel like there was any kind of adversarial kind of aspect to life. I thought everything was going well, and I was, things worked the way they were meant to work. There was no big problem. One of the things, I got a new piece of software for streaming TV and stuff, because the last one I was using, Plex, just doesn't want to work anymore, and this new one set up with absolutely no hassles whatsoever, which is so, I'm not used to that at all. That usually there's teething problems with the simplest tasks I have to do, that it takes twice, as I've said numerous times in the podcast, 3 times the amount of times to do something that should be easy, like that you have to click everything 6 times instead of 1 click, and this kind of thing. So it felt good, and I was going, maybe this this sigil thing was good, and it kind of got me into a new mood, a bit more control, a bit more autonomy, a bit more sovereignty over my life again, and I could, by personifying it and separating it a bit from myself, until today. And then it was back full steam, that whole constant buttons being pressed, everything going wrong, things seemingly to be made deliberately, frustratingly harder than they need to be, everything having to be done countless times. And I had an awful lot I wanted to get done today. Like, I had a good solid to-do list, and I have none of it done, and it's nearly 4:30 in the afternoon here. And it was like, without going into giving it a list of all things, because it's probably just sounds like a list of moans, which I suppose it is. But it was like I was trying to get working on prints for the which print I'm working on. I wanted to get the test print, and it was just so much hassle with the printer and getting it to work. And then I like, it was every time I'd print it, the test print, there'd be something new wrong. Like it would print off center. It would print, there'd be a blotch on it. There would be, there was a big band started appearing across the top of it for no reason that wasn't in the file. Then when I seemed to get where I wanted Riggs, my awesome cat, came up and pressed cancel halfway through it, and then the printer decided that it was going to take twice as long to print everything. And when I sent it to the computer, or from the computer to the printer, it would take nearly 10 minutes for the printer to register it. And it just, it's like going insane, literally losing, like really frustrated, getting very angry. And it's very hard in those situations not to feel like there's some sort of causal element or there's something else to get you, because it just gets you in that mood of being, I don't understand why this is happening. I don't, if you kind of come from a spiritual kind of, I don't know, perspective in life, you kind of, or even that whole magic thing or Crowley thing of choose everything that happens as, as a sign from God. So if everything is a sign, there's a reason behind everything. And so when you come to the point of that you're looking for a reason behind anything and you can find nothing other than the reason being to be frustrated, that something's that frustrates you, I don't know what to do with that. So after that, I wanted to do it. It came a point that I couldn't do it the way I was doing it. I had then I had to not farm it out. I had to put it out to my printer, the guy who does the photographs, and he's going to look after it, because I can't do it. It's just my setup, and I have a very decent setup, just refuses to do it, and I just couldn't spend the time, money on the amount of ink I wasted today, the amount of paper, let alone the time or whatever. So I suppose one way you could look at it, maybe it's for the better, or maybe he's going to do a better job of it, maybe all that kind of thing. But that's putting a spin on it. I don't know if that's actually true, because like last week when I was printing some of my photos and it was meant to be a sepia tone through some of them, and whatever setting came out on his printer, it didn't happen. And that worked out bad for me. There wasn't a good thing out of that in the end. It worked out less good for me. So going with the whole thing of, it's a sign, or, you should just go with it, doesn't always work out. It can be a case that these things are, it's a negative influence. Just because something happens doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing, as we all know. So then I tried to chill out a bit, and I says, right, so what I can do is I'll start printing out, because I have all these A3 photo papers now, and I was going to do it for the print. So I said, well, I can't just, they're not useless to me, I can't, because again, I spent money in it, all these things. So I said, right, I'll do a kind of a limited edition run of the Four Devils or whatever. Like, it was just, and I'll tell you, man, I thought the witch thing was getting hard, but the sizes came out wrong, even though they were auto-sized in Photoshop. Just, it came down to, after the printer doing all its mad stuff again, but then the thing I used, the guillotine, stopped working. Like, but only on like certain things. It would work fine, and like say on, it was working fine to a point that when it didn't work, it seemed to be doing it on purpose. Like, I know that's very hard to explain, and it was obviously me getting tick with it or whatever, but it was just like, there was like that whole thing of just, come on, why is this happening? And I got very frustrated. Like, again, loads of paper wasted, loads of ink wasted. And then when I started, I was laminating them, and then from, there'd be always something wrong. The laminating thing would get caught. There would be a bit of dust. And at one point, I was putting the thing in, and I seen this bit of dust, this little black spot coming down and winding its way in under the laminate and landing there just as it was going through the machine to make that print useless. And I was like, again, it's very hard to not see a causal between all of things seem to be connected and all seem to be aimed at you, when that can't be the case. Like, or like, well, it depends what way you want to look at it, what way you want to go with it. Like, it could be, if you are big law of attraction thinking, everything you say or everything you think about, it comes back to you. Now, there's definitely some element of truth in that whatever you focus on, you're going to see more of. With no woo-woo involved whatsoever, if you think about, if you're interested in some new topic, you will discover that there's always a lot of that around. It's that thing. It's simple as this. Like, if you get into a new hobby, say, as I got into photography, you suddenly realise just the amount of photography videos that are on YouTube that you would never have known, other than you've started looking from it and have an interest in it or whatever. And you can go, oh, look at this synchronous kind of thing lining up with thing, and it's just, you've searched for it and now you've put your focus on it. If you go a bit more woo-woo into the law of attraction, you can't end up but get into victim blaming, which I don't particularly like, because it basically means that everything you do is your fault. Or, if you have a shit life, it's your fault. You're not living in prosperity consciousness if you're poor. And, if you get sick, it's your fault. And I really don't like that. I don't like the idea of it. And I don't know if that pushes me against it. Like, I suppose just not liking an idea is not a good enough reason to discount an idea. But it seems ridiculous. It seems tremendously unfair to live in a universe that is slowly dying of entropy and is all aimed towards the negative to a large extent, to then try and make people go, well, the way out of it is to feel good about it. And to aim towards negative is that, what I mean by that is, you can literally do something right now that will ruin your life immeasurably, destroy everything, no coming back from it, where you can't do the equivalent positive thing. And like, you could go out onto the street now and push someone in front of a car, kill them, go to prison, all that. There's no equivalent good thing. You can go out and give €5 to a homeless person on the street. Doesn't have the same equivalence of impact on your life. There's no big positive thing that you can do at any secondary life that can change your life to the extent that you have a wide array of options open to you that will negatively destroy your life. So it seems to be, maybe from my negative point of view, that the universe is tilted towards enjoying, or at least it being the negative being the default or the direction in which it wants to go. And it does want to go into a sense, if you want, from entropy. Everything is slowly dying. The universe is going to eventually cool and everything will die. At some point, if the theories are to be believed, and who am I? I'm not a scientist, the universe will freeze, all the energy will be gone, and it'll just be like empty space with no life or whatever. That's quite happy and positive there today, isn't it? Yeah. So then the personifying of this demon. And if you want to see the artwork, or if you want to see the sigil and the name and all that stuff, it's posted on Patreon. I'm not going to put it on the site or anything like that, because I don't want people to get excited about it or use it, because it's not like the 47s or 47s. It's something very personal to me, but I just thought it might be interesting to people on Patreon. So it's not general release. It's, again, when you're in that state, in that mental state, and you've woke yourself up, and I got extremely angry today and frustrated, like to the point of screaming at a guillotine, as if it was human, or as if it has a personality, as if it was doing something bad towards me. And it's, once you come out of the state, it's quite embarrassing, obviously, to get to that level of anger and frustration. But it's not, if I went in and I went to cut a piece thing on the guillotine and it didn't happen, I wouldn't be getting that angry. It's the 50 other things that have happened that day. Like, here's the thing. When I'm out walking my dog, and she's a nightmare. She's an absolute nightmare. Pulling on it, you have to constantly, pulling on the lead, you have to constantly stop, try and thing with that. And the first 10 times you're oh yes, I can get this or whatever, and we could do it, we'll train or whatever, and the whole thing. But the 7,000th time on that walk, how are you meant to have that kind of level of patience? And the scary thing about this is, of course, that I'm going to be a dad this year. And if I can't get my shit together enough to not feel that the world is out to get me, or deliberately trying to poke, annoyance at me, how am I going to cope with, the lack of sleep and the amount of sheer patience you need for a baby? And that's terrifying. And I'm sure there's some sort of back of my mind kind of stress going on with that, adding to further stress and kind of all that. But it's almost, maybe, if I wanted to take another slant on it, would be that this is the testing ground and poking at you and see what I'm made of and stuff like that before. Because it's okay to scream at a guillotine because it's a piece of plastic and some steel or some metal. But if I lose it like that with a child, then that's proper, has repercussions for them, for me, for life, for all things growing up and going forward and all that. And I know that from walking the dog and the 7,000th time that she pulls or she tries to, she loses her life when she sees another dog and is pulling off the lead. And we've bought every different type of lead you can for, the minute one we're using is the one that goes round the legs. And she was great for a day until she got used to it, and then she's back to the pulling and all that. And by the end of the walk, I hate her. And I mean, that's horrible to say, but I hate, probably not strong, but I really dislike her. And the whole thing of being constantly pushed and poked and finding that doing everything takes 2 or 3 times longer than it should. And it's wearing on me, it's stressing me, and it's making me feel less adequate and capable for the task that I have ahead of me. It's funny, when I started this, I didn't think this was where this conversation was going to go. But this is the whole point of the podcast, is to try and work through these things. And by speaking things out loud, by speaking your truth, you can sort things out in your head that you wouldn't normally. Because I'm sure it's the same for everyone, but you loop things in your head. You don't think clearly, and it's like you have the same pattern over and over when you're thinking about something. So speaking it out loud, like something like a podcast, you can't do that because you have to in some way keep it interesting for the person reading or listening to it. So if you just kept going, and I had the guillotine pulled down and it wouldn't do it, and then the guillotine pulled down and it wouldn't cut it, and I got frustrated, and then the guillotine when I went to it, which is how you are in your mind when you replay that point where it didn't cut the paper properly for you, the 50th time or whatever. So it's good to get it out that way. So I don't know what the solution is to this. Like, it genuinely feels like there's an element of life deliberately being hard or trying to frustrate me and annoy me, and that I don't understand it, and I don't know why. And there's a part of me that really doesn't believe that, and another part that does, because it's very hard when you're, as I say, in the middle of it, to not feel that way, because it's so overwhelming and it's so constant, and you feel so stupid explaining it to people because they're going, well, obviously that's not true, like, that's not the experience, you're making that up, or you're not calling you a liar, but just saying that you're obviously mistaken, or you're looking for these things, or you're going out of your way. And the question is, which came first, though? Or is it you get frustrated and then you create these things, or do these things happen in there you get frustrated by it? And I'm finding it very hard to deal with at the minute, and I'm very frustrated, and a lot of the joy that I discovered out of life in the last while is leaving me, because it feels like a constant battle with the physics or the physicality of the planet, of life, of the universe, that I have to get through all this stuff that it's before I can get to the thing that I'm meant to be doing. Or it's like I can't. When I was doing the print or something like that, that was 20 minutes I wanted to spend on that today, because that's all it should have taken. 20 minutes, like the witch print, whatever. That was 20 minutes of work, and if someone had hired me to do that, that is what I would have allocated for that, and because that's all it was just putting the final files together, because all the thing was done, and just doing a test print, and it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and at the end, didn't get it. Followed by then more, still all related, I suppose, all printer and printing related, but different. There was different things. The issues that I had with the Witch print isn't the issues I had with the Four Devils printing I was doing. It was different ones. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I haven't printed out, and I haven't worked with, and I haven't journeyed to the servitor, the demonizing, the personifying of this thing. And I feel that's something that really has to be done, because I have to find out what's going on. I have to know. Part of my brain, something external. I'm definitely siding on the part of my brain thing, because it seems more realistic, I suppose. But yeah, not good. Not good. So I guess at some point I should come back and talk a bit about that whole weight loss for the soul series that I was doing last year on over in adventureswithwoo.com, and which I just kind of stopped doing. And there was a number of reasons. Some of them my fault, some of them not necessarily anyone's fault, but just what was happening and thing. And basically, one of the main, rather than faffing about here, just get to it. One of the main reasons why I stopped doing the posts is every time I did the posts about it, I would get a slew of messages and emails and stuff about people telling me why I was wrong, what I was doing, and what I should be doing. And, you know, like about the different diets and different things, and why it was like some of them really angry with me, some of them really nice. And generally, overall, most of them were really nice and trying to be concerned. But it was a case of like, even though I talked about it in the podcast, I talked about it on the vlog, I talked about it on the blog itself, that I wasn't, not that I was going to say I'm not interested. Well, no, actually, I'm not interested in being told what to do, because I've tried all these things, and you're assuming I haven't tried these things. And I have, and they just don't work. And I was kind of getting a bit sick of having the same conversation over and over again. And as Robbie is well aware and has pointed out to me, Tommy doesn't like to repeat himself. And I kind of have a turn-off thing where I can repeat myself once, repeat myself twice. But if I have to say something to someone 3 times, I lose the will to live. So it was every time I did a post, I was getting these things, and it was like one email would be, you have to do it this way, and then the second email would be the exact opposite, but both demanding that they were right and true. And no one, for the most part, would believe, because like the only thing that works for me to lose weight is counting calories. And interestingly enough, I even forgot that, because this year I've been doing low carb, trying to do less than 50 grams of carbs a day, because I was told that's what to do, and it seemed like a good idea, something new to mix it up, whatever. And guess what happened? I put on weight. So I was going out running the other night, and I put it on. No, first of all, the first time I really noticed it, I kind of, when I stopped doing the posts, I also stopped weighing myself, because I was also trying to do the whole, just try and get back into being a normal person who isn't on a diet the whole time or whatever. And I probably did put on a bit of weight. I don't know. My clothes all fit me anyway, and there was nothing. Maybe I didn't put on weight. But after Christmas, and it was my brother-in-law, his wedding, and I put on my suit and it was tight on me, and I went, oh, that's interesting. And see, it can be weird, like, because you're just not used to wearing trousers and stuff like that, and it can be a bit tight or whatever, but it was like proper, right thing. And I go, well, maybe it didn't fit me this time last year, maybe I hadn't it on. And I tried a shirt on that I knew definitely fit me at, during this kind of stage of weight loss, and it was kind of tight on me and bulging a bit. You know that thing where you have the 2 buttons and they're like, they've been pulled apart, and I went, yeah, I'll try to ignore that and hope that this low carb thing is going to work out for me, even though I did the low carb before and I put on weight. Why I thought it would be different this time? I was hoping it would be different, I think, more than thought it would be different. Because I've listened to lots of Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan and these, a lot of people, and I was telling me about this low carb, and it's like the extra health benefits, like Jordan Peterson going on about it. His daughter cured herself from an autoimmune disease, for the most part, not cured, but is in remittal, whatever that word is, from having done this low carb thing, and loads of stuff has happened for him. That his halitosis was cured, his snoring stopped, he lost a ton of weight really quickly, and all that. I'm kind of a bit all over the place here, but anyway, so that's why I was doing the low carb thing. I was going, well, this seems like a really good health benefit, and sugar is probably terrible for you. Like it's that whole processed food kind of thing. The only thing is, I don't eat meat. And that's probably not good for a ketosis diet. So essentially all I was eating was cheese, nuts, and eggs, and some greens. And that was really boring. And it was also like, that's not sustainable, because I was getting really bored with it too. But I was eating a lot of that stuff, you know what I mean? I tried counting calories for a while and I just give up or whatever. And I didn't do it every day. I would say I did it 25 out of the 30 days, and then I would have kind of cheat days. So that was probably another thing. But it just doesn't work for me. I definitely think, I can't say for everyone, there's probably loads of vegetarians who ketosis works brilliant for, and vegans and all that. For me, it doesn't work, and I'm putting it down to that it probably would work if I was eating meat, but I'm not. So there it is. So anyhow, a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, I was saying, I better get back into doing some running, maybe start taking this a bit more serious again, because I don't want to let this all go. And it was in the back of my mind that I put on a bit of weight, and so I put on my it was like my running jacket thing that I had when I was doing all the running last, around September or whatever, August, whenever it was, around that time. And it was really tight on me, like really tight on me. Like I still get it on, but I'd like you weren't running with it, that'd be massively uncomfortable. So, being that this part of the journey that I'm doing at the moment is all about telling the truth, that is my truth, and I have to be honest and open about that. I have let myself go again, and I'm falling back into old habits to do with my weight and my health and stuff like that. And I'm glad that I can kind of hopefully catch it now before, it's like Christmas time and I'm looking at myself and I'm 18 stone again or something. I go, what happened? What? So I've caught myself early enough where I've just put on, I don't know how much I've put on because I'm too scared to get on the weighing scale. I'll just be very honest about it, because if I've put on a lot of weight, it'll devastate me. So I'll try, although I should for the motivation, but I'm not going to. I'm just not going to weigh myself for a while. But what I've done is I'm back to what I was doing when I lost all the weight last year, which I just should have stuck to, and I didn't follow my own advice. And I give out for people telling me to do all these things, and then I end up listening to other people. But so what I'm doing is I'm just counting calories. Try to keep the shit food as low as possible, but stay within my calories. Now, 1,600 calories. And that's what I did. I was looking through my meal records from this time last year, because I have them all in my FitnessPal, that app or whatever. Just looking at the food I was eating. I was doing 1,600 calories. I was also doing fasting, those 2-day fastings where I was doing 600 calories. I'm not doing that because that didn't make any difference. When I stopped doing that last year, I was still losing the weight. So 1,600 calories, not count my exercise. Don't eat over 1,600 calories no matter what I exercise, and lose this. I would say I have 2 stone to lose, which is 28 pounds. Which is considering where I started, I'm in a better position than I was this time last year. I'm thinner or leaner or whatever it is than I was this time last year. I just was, I've put on weight. That's the simple thing. And the great thing about it though is when I was doing the shopping and I was to go start the diet again. Even though I've been on a diet constantly, it was just a crap diet, and I feel so cheated by that, because it wasn't as if I was sitting around eating whatever I wanted and having a great time and put on weight. It was still a restrictive thing, and I felt that I wanted, I wasn't satisfied. But no, the good thing about the carb thing is that your hunger levels do go down, but it's probably because you're eating so much. I don't know. Anyway, frustrating, very frustrating for, but Went out shopping today to get all of the types of food I was eating this time last year when I was actually losing weight and doing well and feeling good. That's the other thing about the carbs that I've noticed. I've started spiraling into downward towards depressive states and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if that's connected or if there's other things, but I immediately picked up today when I started back when when I was around the supermarket getting the stuff, and I had this positive sort of view about life and taking control back and all that. So there's not all that's kind of tied in and all that. I understand, but I already feel better because I'm doing this back, doing the thing that I know works. Because there was probably a bit of guilt or something in the back of my mind when I was doing the low carb thing that was just like, no, this doesn't work. You just want to eat all the cheese. You know what I mean? Like, I can't eat all the cheese and the peanuts and all the world and all the eggs. And like, it's not that. I don't know. It's not that it's that huge of a thing to be doing. It's just eating, low carb or whatever. I didn't find it. I don't have a sweet tooth in the sense of I don't really miss sweets or chocolate or whatever. I eat them occasionally because, why not? But my big thing is bread and stuff like that. And I think of a restrictive diet where you're just demanding of yourself not to take any of these things in the hope that your body has some sort of chemical reaction within your side, rather than just don't eat as much. I mean, the logic to me, and people say, oh, the calorie thing is bullshit and all that, but it's the best thing we have to judge our food, and it is bullshit, but it's probably about the best thing we have, and it's a good indicator for me of how much I'm eating. And the tracking thing like that, I let that go as well, where I wasn't tracking it anyway. My honesty of the thing is that I have let myself go. I've let myself go, and I have to be honest about that. Not in a massive way. I hopefully have caught myself before it's too much. The first thing actually, now that I think about it, that got me about it all was when I put up the photograph of me getting the photo of the month in my photography club, and I have a big, huge, fat neck in it because I'm kind of. If you've seen Friends, that Chandler's whole thing where he can't smile in photos and he looks really weird, I kind of have that. But I hunch up my shoulders. What am I, 5? I hunch up my shoulders and I kind of pull my neck back, so I just get this huge, big, fat neck and a big kind of double chin. And I was kind of I was going like, that's a terrible photo of me. And I used to, I had been working on my posture last year and all that kind of thing as well. And then the worst thing about it was that when I was going, oh, that photo's terrible of me. And then I was looking in the mirror and goes, yeah, but you have a fat neck again. It's not just a fucking photo. It's the cheese, So, and I can laugh about it now, but yeah, I wasn't happy at the time. Then on Patreon last night, was it? Yes, Wendy was just pointing out, we were talking just about personifying your hardships, whatever, what to do with that thing. I was talking about the whole demonized thing in last week's podcast, and she was saying if you ever are going to do the weight loss thing again, that you should bring that with you, and that kind of idea that you have the thought of, basically the thing of focus on the good things. You're building strength rather than you're losing weight. You're looking better rather than you're trying not to look as shit as you did, and all that kind of thing. And it was just so timely, and it was just so perfect. And I know had that caught me in a different mood, it might have depressed me. And she actually did point out, she goes, not saying you have to, but it was, as these synchronistic things happen, it was perfect timing. I was in a receptive mood for it, and I went, yes, this now bring it in. And rather than focusing on how shitty I feel and look at me and my fat neck and my man boobs and all of these things, focus on the getting back in, getting control, getting out, getting proper exercising, get back out running. It's the summer's coming in, the sun is going to be back, you're going to be getting vitamin D, life's going to be wonderful, you're going to be a father in September, for Christ's sake, everything is great. Rather than, oh, look at your photo with your fat neck. Which I have tendency to do, and it's like it's what I do best. So yeah, 1600 calories, get a bit more exercise, get back doing my yoga, because I used to love yoga. Like all these things, I forget that I enjoy these things. Something happens that you just forget, you lose the run of yourself. So anyway, yeah, that's the truth about my weight loss for the soul. I don't think I'm going to go back to doing the blog posts because people don't see them in the context of the bigger thing and only maybe read one or whatever. I might perhaps do some vlogs or talk about it more in the podcast as I go along, because the momentum was great, and the kind of where you're holding yourself to account by other people by having to do these things. And when I'm brave enough, I will do a weigh-in when I feel a bit better about myself and all those kind of things. But yes, telling my truth about weight loss for the soul. While I thought last year was all about my physical thing, and this year will be about emotional, it's probably all connected, and I have to get it all together. So yeah. So that was the Tommy Kelly podcast, and as you can hear, I've been trying out a few new things, trying to make this a bit more interesting, a bit better. I started using Adobe Audition for the podcast. I was using Reaper, which is a great program, but seems that I use everything else. Adobe, I thought I would try it again, which was a brave move on this day, being that everything seemed to go wrong. So if you're hearing this, then it has to at some point have gone right for me. So that's good news for everyone involved. So if you want to hear more of this podcast, go to adventuresinwooboo.com and you will see all the podcasts are there. This is number 41, I think. You'll also find information on the 47s, which is a magical and oracle deck that I created. 4 Devil stuff's there. There's a blog full of things, magic, occult, personal development type related. The book club's there. There's a lot of my photography stuff there, a lot of my art, and check that out. And I'm on the Facebooks. I'm on Twitter at Tommy Kelly. There is an Instagram, 500px, Flickr, all of those things. I'm all over the internet. So good, people of the internet. I'm sorry that this was such a kind of negative, ranty type one, and that it's been on the same kind of subject. Well, the first half it was on the same kind of subject last while, but it is something that's just on my mind and it's, better out than in, as they say. But I hope you are having a great week, and I hope that the rest of your week is fabulous, and that you are not plagued by any of the issues I am having. May the road rise to meet you, and may you have a wonderful time, and may life have your back. And be well.